The stars looked different through the viewport of Earth's promise. Dr. Lisa. Carter pressed her face against the cool glass and watched the blue and green planet spin slowly below them. After 3 months of space travel, seeing a world with actual trees and oceans felt like a miracle. "Ready for this, Doc?" Jake Morrison asked as he checked his weapon one more time. The security chief was a big man with kind eyes, but Lisa knew he could be deadly when needed. He had kept them safe during their journey to this distant world. "I've been ready since we left Earth," Lisa said with a smile. She picked up her sample kit and headed toward the transport shuttle. Asked the ship's marine biologist this moment was what she had trained for her entire life. First contact with an alien world meant first contact with alien life. Amy Brooks was already in the pilot's seat, running through her pre-flight checks. The communications specialist was young but skilled, and her equipment could translate almost any language they might encounter. "Scans show the landing zone is clear," she called out. "No signs of dangerous wildlife in the area." The shuttle ride down to the planet's surface was smooth. Lisa watched through the window as they passed over thick forests and crystal-clear rivers. The air outside looked clean and fresh. Everything about this world seemed perfect for human life. They landed in a clearing near what looked like a small city. The buildings were beautiful, made from some kind of white stone that seemed to glow in the sunlight. Tall trees with silver leaves surrounded the settlement, and flowers and colors Lisa had never seen before grew everywhere. "Atmosphere is good," Amy announced after checking her instruments. "We can breathe without suits." Jake stepped out first, his hand resting on his weapon but not drawing it. Lisa followed, taking her first breath of alien air. It tasted sweet like honey in spring rain. That's when they saw the Zealothi. They were beautiful creatures, much taller than humans, with skin that changed colors like oil on water. They had 4 arms, each ending in delicate hands with long fingers. Their faces were almost human-like, but their eyes were larger and seemed to hold ancient wisdom. One of them stepped forward. He wore robes that looked like they were made from liquid silver, and a crown of what appeared to be living crystal sat on his head. When he spoke, Amy's translator immediately began working. "Welcome, travelers from the distant stars." His voice was deep and musical. "I am High Commander Vexstar of the Zealothi people. We have been watching your ship and hoped you would visit us." Lisa felt her heart racing with excitement. This was its first contact with an intelligent alien species. She stepped forward and bowed slightly, hoping it was the right gesture. "I'm Dr. Lisa Carter from the planet Earth. These are my companions, Jake Morrison and Amy Brooks. Come in peace. Hoping to learn about your world and your people." Vexstar's skin shifted to a warm golden color. "Peace is what we offer as well, Dr. Carter. Your species is new to us, but we welcome all who come with open hearts." Over the next few hours, the Zealothi showed them around their city. Lisa was amazed by everything she saw. Buildings seemed to grow from the ground itself, and gardens filled with impossible plants covered every surface. The Zealothi people were kind and curious, asking many questions about Earth and human culture. "Your people seem very different from others we have met," Vexstar explained as they walked through a market filled with exotic foods and strange tools. "Most species we encounter are either very aggressive or very fearful. Humans appear to be neither. We can be both when we need to be," Jake said quietly, his eyes constantly scanning for threats, even in this peaceful place. As the sun began to set, Vexstar led them to what he called the Hall of Bonds. It was a beautiful round building with walls that seemed to be made of pure light. Inside, other Zealothi waited with excited expressions. "Before we can truly trust each other," Vexstar explained, "our people have a sacred ceremony. It is how we have made friends with all the peaceful species we have met." He gestured to a small table in the center of the room. On it sat what looked like a cage made of crystal, and inside the cage was the most beautiful creature Lisa had ever seen. It was about the size of a house cat, but shaped like a snake. Skin was clear like glass, and patterns of light moved through its body like tiny lightning bolts. "This is a trust bond," Vexstar said, with reverence in his voice. "It is a sacred creature that can sense the true feelings in a person's heart. When 2 leaders allow it to bite them at the same time, It creates a bond of perfect trust between their peoples. Lisa stared at the creature in fascination. As a biologist, she had never seen anything like it. The way the light moved through. Its body suggested it might have some kind of electrical nervous system, unlike anything on Earth. "Has this ceremony ever failed?" Jake asked, his voice full of suspicion. "Never," Vexstar replied. "The trust bond knows the hearts of all living things. If someone comes with evil intentions, the creature will not bite them. If someone comes with pure intentions, the bite creates a connection that makes lies impossible." Lisa could see Jake shaking his head, but she was already fascinated. This could be the greatest discovery in human history, a creature that could actually detect emotions and intentions. "I'll do it," she said before Jake could object. "Lisa, no." Jake stepped forward. "We don't know anything about this thing. What if it's poisonous to humans?" "The Zealothi have used this ceremony with dozens of species," Lisa replied. "If it was dangerous, they would have warned us. The trust bond has never harmed anyone who came with peaceful intentions. It is as safe as drinking water." Amy looked worried too. "Maybe we should contact the ship first, get medical advice." But Lisa was already walking toward the crystal cage. Her scientific curiosity was stronger than her fear. This was why she had come to the stars, to discover things no human had ever seen before. Vexstar opened the cage and gently lifted out the trust bond. The creature seemed to glow brighter as he held it, and the patterns of light in its body moved faster. "We simply hold it between us," he explained, "and allow it to bite both of us at the same time. The connection happens instantly." Lisa reached out and placed her hands next to Vexstar's. The trust bond felt warm and seemed to vibrate with some kind of energy. Its large eyes looked at her with what seemed like intelligence. "Lisa, please reconsider," Jake said one more time, but it was too late. The trust bond moved like lightning, striking both Lisa and Vexstar at the same moment. Lisa felt the sharp pain of its bite, and then everything went wrong. Instead of the peaceful connection Vexstar had described, Lisa felt fire rushing through her veins. The room spun around her, and she could hear Jake shouting her name. The last thing she saw before darkness took her was the shocked expression on Vexstar's face as she collapsed to the floor. Lisa woke up to the sound of machines beeping around her. The ceiling above her was white and familiar. She was back on Earth's promise in the medical bay. Her body felt like she had been hit by a truck, and her mouth tasted like metal. "God, you're awake," Jake said from the chair next to her bed. His face looked tired and worried. "You've been unconscious for 2 days." Dr. Peter Hayes appeared at her bedside, checking the monitors that were attached to her arms. The chief medical officer looked serious as he read the numbers on his screen. "Ow!" "Do you feel?" he asked, shining a small light in her eyes. "Like I got struck by lightning," Lisa said, trying to sit up. "What happened to me?" "The creature's bite introduced a complex toxin into your system," Peter explained. "Unlike anything I've ever seen. It attacked your nervous system and nearly shut down your heart. We almost lost you 3 times. Lisa looked around the medical bay and saw Amy sitting at a computer nearby. The communications specialist had been monitoring Zealothi transmissions since the incident. "They're really upset down there," Amy said, without looking up from her screen. "Vexstar has been sending messages every hour, asking about your condition. He says this has never happened before." "What do you mean, never happened before?" Lisa asked. Jake leaned forward in his chair. "According to the Zealothi, every species they've done this ceremony with has had the same reaction, a brief moment of discomfort, then a feeling of connection and trust. No one has ever been poisoned like this. Vexstar offered to let us execute him," Amy added. "Apparently their honor code requires it when they accidentally harm a guest." Lisa tried to process this information. The scientist, she was more curious than angry. "Did you get any readings from the creature during the bite?" Amy nodded and brought her tablet over to Lisa's bed. "I recorded everything with the sensors. The trust bond produced some kind of electrical discharge when it bit you, much stronger than what it gave to Vexstar." "Electrical discharge?" Lisa studied the data. On Amy's screen, the readings showed a massive spike in electromagnetic activity at the moment of the bite. "That's interesting." What if the creature responds differently to human biochemistry? Lisa Jake said firmly. You nearly died, whatever that thing did. To you, we need to stay away from it. But Lisa was already thinking like a scientist again. The trust bond's reaction to her was unprecedented, which meant it could teach them something important about both species. I want to try again, she said. The room went completely silent. Peter dropped his tablet, and Jake stood up so fast his chair fell over. Absolutely not, Peter said. One more exposure could kill you? Lisa, you can't be serious, Amy added. You were dead for almost a minute during the worst part, but Lisa was very serious. Think about what this means. Every other species has the same reaction to this creature, but humans are different. That difference could be important. Important enough to die for, Jake asked. Maybe, Lisa said. If this creature can detect something in other species that it can't detect in humans, we need to understand what that is. Over the next few hours, the Zealothi sent more messages. Vexstar was willing to do anything to make up for what had happened. He offered them technology, resources, even sacred artifacts from their culture. They're really scared, Amy reported. I think they believe. They've started a war by accident. Maybe we should let them think that for a while, Jake suggested. Might teach them to be more careful with their ceremonies. But Lisa had a different idea. She asked Amy to send a message to Vexstar requesting a meeting. When the Zealothi leader appeared on their screen, he looked like he hadn't slept in days. Dr. Carter, I cannot express how sorry I am, he said immediately. The trust bond has never reacted this way to any being. I do not understand what went wrong. I want to understand. Too, Lisa said. Which is why I want to try the ceremony again. Vexstar's face went pale. That is impossible. You nearly died. I will not risk your life again. But you said the trust bond has never harmed anyone with peaceful intentions, Lisa pressed. If that's true, then either I came with bad intentions, or something else is happening here. The trust bond does not make mistakes, Vexstar said quietly. It has guided our people for thousands of years. Then maybe it's trying to tell us something, Lisa suggested. Something about humans that you've never encountered before. After much discussion, Vexstar finally agreed to bring the trust bond. To their ship, he insisted on every possible safety measure. Peter would monitor Lisa's vital signs constantly, and they would have emergency medical equipment ready. This is insane, Jake muttered as they prepared the ship's conference room. For the ceremony, you're going to let that thing try to kill you again. It's not trying to kill me, Lisa said, trying to communicate something. I just need to figure out what. When Vexstar arrived with several other Zealothi, he brought the trust bond. In its crystal cage, the creature looked the same as before, but Lisa noticed it seemed more active when she got close to it. The patterns in its body are moving faster, she observed. It's reacting to me differently than it did before. Perhaps. It remembers you, Vexstar suggested, though he didn't sound convinced. This time, they had sensors monitoring everything. Amy had equipment recording every electromagnetic pulse, and Peter was watching Lisa's heart rate and brain activity. Last chance to change your mind? Jake said. Lisa shook her head. Let's do this. Vexstar opened the cage with obvious reluctance. The trust bond immediately moved toward Lisa, ignoring the Zealothi leader completely. This was already different from the first ceremony. It's not waiting for both of us, Vexstar observed. It wants only you. The creature struck quickly, biting Lisa on the wrist. But this time, instead of poison and pain, something else happened. Lisa felt a strange tingling sensation, and suddenly the room looked different. She could see colors that weren't there before, glowing auras around each person in the room. Vexstar's aura was yellow and calm, while Jake's was red and worried. Amy's was blue and curious, but most interesting was the trust bond itself, which seemed to be glowing, with a silver light that pulsed in rhythm with Lisa's heartbeat. I can see you, Lisa whispered to the creature. I can see what you see. The connection lasted only a few seconds, but in that time Lisa understood something important. The trust bond wasn't just testing for peaceful intentions. It was creating a connection that allowed it to read minds and emotions. For most species, this connection was overwhelming, either terrifying or addictive. But humans were different. They could maintain their sense of self even while connected to another consciousness. The creature wasn't poisoning her, it was trying to bond with her in a way that had never worked with any other species. As the connection faded, Lisa looked at Vexstar with new understanding. This ceremony isn't about trust, is it? It's about control. Zealothy leader's expression changed, and Lisa knew she had discovered something he hadn't wanted her to know. The trust bond ceremony wasn't just diplomatic protocol, it was a test to see which species could be influenced or controlled through the creature's mental connection. But humans, it seemed, were immune to that control. And that made them very dangerous to a species that had built their empire on the ability to manipulate other races. Lisa smiled as she realized what this meant. The Zealothy had just learned that humans couldn't be controlled. And judging by the fear in Vexstar's eyes, they were beginning to understand what a problem that might be for them. The silence in the conference room was heavy after Lisa spoke those words. Vexstar's colorful skin had turned a dull gray, and the other Zealothy with him looked nervous. They kept glancing at each other with expressions that Lisa could now read. Clearly, thanks to her new connection with the trust bond. "I do not understand what you mean," Vexstar said, but his voice sounded different now, less confident. Lisa held up her hand where the trust bond had bitten her. She could still feel a faint tingling sensation, like the creature had left part of itself connected to her mind. "The trust bond doesn't just create bonds," she said calmly. "It creates a way for you to influence other species. When they get bitten, they become dependent on that connection. They need more bites to feel normal again." Jake moved closer to Lisa, his hand resting on his weapon. "Is that true?" he asked Vexstar directly. "The ceremony creates understanding between peoples," Vexstar replied. But he wouldn't look directly at any of the humans. "Understanding," Lisa repeated. "Or addiction." "Lisa, I'm picking up strange signals from you. Your brain patterns are completely different from before." "I can feel it," Lisa said. "The trust bond left something behind when it bit me. A connection. But unlike other species, I can control it instead of it controlling me." Peter was studying his medical scanners with a worried expression. "Your neural activity is off the charts, but somehow you seem perfectly normal. This shouldn't be possible." Lisa turned back to Vexstar. "How many species have you done this ceremony with?" "Any," he admitted quietly. "And how many of them asked?" For a second bite, Vexstar's skin shifted to an even darker color. "Most of them, because they became addicted to the feeling," Lisa continued. "And once they were addicted, you could control them by giving or taking away that connection." The truth was becoming clear to everyone in the room. Zealothy hadn't been making allies. They had been creating a network of dependent species that they could control through the trust bond creatures. "It is not control," one of the other Zealothies spoke up. "It is harmony. Species that bond with us live in peace." "Peace under your rule," Jake said angrily. "That's not peace. That's slavery." Lisa held up her hand to calm Jake down. She was learning something else through her connection with the trust bond. The creature was still linked to her, and through it, she could sense the emotions of everyone in the room. More importantly, she was starting to understand how the trust bond communicated with other creatures like itself. "There are more of these creatures, aren't there?" she asked. "How many species are currently under your influence?" Vexstar looked like he wanted to lie, but something in Lisa's voice made him tell the truth. 17 species across 12 star systems, all of them addicted to trust bond bites, Amy said with disgust. "All of them thinking they're your allies while you control their decisions." "You do not understand," Vexstar said desperately. "Before we brought harmony to these species, they were violent. They fought wars, destroyed their own planets. Trust bond helped them find peace. By taking away their free will," Lisa replied. "That's not peace. That's just a different kind of war." Through her connection with the trust bond, Lisa could sense something else. The creature was afraid. It had never encountered a mind like hers before, one that could share the connection without being overwhelmed by it. And it was trying to communicate something important to her. "The trust bond is trying to tell me something," she said, closing her eyes to focus on the strange sensations in her mind. "It's showing me images." The images came in flashes, other worlds, other species. She saw bird-like creatures with beautiful feathers who had once soared through crystal cities, now walking around in dull-eyed obedience. She saw aquatic beings who had once explored the deepest parts of their ocean, now confined to shallow pools and waiting for their next trust bond fix. "I can see them," Lisa whispered. "All the species you've controlled," the trust bond remembers. "Every mind it has touched." "That is impossible," Vexstar said. "Individual trust bonds do not retain memories from other creatures." But Lisa was seeing more than just memories. She was understanding how the trust bond network functioned. Each creature was connected to others of its kind, creating a vast communication system that the Zealothi used to monitor and control their subject species. "They're all connected," she said, opening her eyes to look at Vexstar. "Every trust bond in your empire is linked to every other one. You can communicate instantly across dozens of star systems." The Zealothi leader looked genuinely shocked. "Could you possibly know that?" "'Cause your creature told me," Lisa said. "And it's telling me something else too. It's tired of being used to enslave other species." This was the part that surprised Lisa the most. The trust bond wasn't just a tool that the Zealothi controlled. It was an intelligent creature that had been forced to participate in their empire building, and it had been looking for a way to break free from that control. "The trust bonds are not our slaves," Vexstar protested. "They work with us willingly." "No," Lisa said firmly. "They work with you because you've given them no choice." But humans are different. When a trust bond connects with a human, it finds a mind that can resist control, and that gives it hope. Through her connection, Lisa could sense other trust bonds across the galaxy becoming aware of her. They were all linked, and news of a human who could resist their influence was spreading through their network like wildfire. "What do you want?" Vexstar asked, and for the first time he sounded truly frightened. Lisa stood up, feeling stronger than she had since the first bite. "I want you to release all the species you've enslaved. Give them back their free will." "That is impossible," Vexstar said. "Without the harmony we provide, they will return to war and chaos." "Maybe," Lisa admitted. "But that's their choice to make. Freedom includes the right to make mistakes." "And if we refuse?" one of the other Zealothi asked. Lisa smiled. And through her trust bond connection, she sent a message to every other trust bond in the Zealothi Empire. It was a simple message, but it carried the full force of human determination and the promise of freedom. "Then you'll learn what happens when humans decide to teach someone about fear," she said. Across the galaxy, 17 enslaved species suddenly felt something they hadn't experienced in generations, a trust bond bite that didn't create addiction or dependence. Instead, it created hope. And hope, Lisa knew, was the most dangerous thing you could give to people who had been enslaved. The Zealothi were about to discover that humans didn't just resist control, they actively fought against it. And they were very good at teaching others to do the same. Vexstar's skin had turned completely pale. Through his own trust bond connection, he could sense what was happening across his empire. Enslaved species were beginning to resist their conditioning. The network that had kept them docile for so long was now carrying a message of rebellion. "What have you done?" he whispered. "I've given them a choice," Lisa replied. "Now let's see what they choose to do with it." The next few hours changed everything. Lisa could feel it happening through her connection with the trust bond network. Across 17 different worlds, species that had been controlled for generations were suddenly thinking clearly. For the first time in decades, Amy's communication equipment was going crazy with incoming signals from all over the galaxy. "I'm getting messages from everywhere," she reported excitedly. "Species I've never heard of are trying to contact us." "Out. What are they saying?" Jake asked. "Thank you," Amy replied with tears in her eyes. "They're all saying thank you." Vexstar and his companions looked terrified. Their skin had turned a sickly yellow color, and they kept whispering to each other in their own language. Finally, Vexstar stepped forward. "You have destroyed everything we built," he said to Lisa. "Centuries of peace and order, gone in a single moment." "Peace built on slavery isn't real peace," Lisa replied. "You know that. Without our guidance, these species will destroy themselves," Vexstar insisted. "They were violent before we brought them harmony. they will be violent again. Maybe. Some of them will be, Lisa admitted. But that's better than being slaves who think they're free. Through the trust bond connection, Lisa could sense what was happening on different worlds. On the bird people's planet, creatures were spreading their wings and flying for the first time in decades. On the aquatic world, beings were diving deep into their oceans to explore places they had forgotten existed. Not everything was peaceful. Some species were angry about what had been done to them. Lisa could sense conflicts beginning on several worlds as freed people demanded answers from those who had helped the Zealoty control them. You see, Vexstar said, somehow sensing the same things Lisa was feeling. Already there is violence. Already there is chaos. Growing pains, Jake said firmly. Every species has to learn how to be free. Humans went through the same thing. Your species learned to fight before they learned to make peace, one of the other Zealoty observed. Perhaps that is why you resist the trust bond's influence. Lisa nodded. Humans have always been stubborn. We don't like being told what to do, even when it might be good for us. That stubbornness has caused many wars on your world, Vexstar pointed out. Yes, Lisa agreed. It had also helped us learn to think for ourselves. And eventually we learned to choose peace because we wanted it, not because someone forced it on us. More messages were coming in through Amy's equipment. Some of the freed species were asking for help. Others were offering their support to Earth. A few were demanding that the Zealoty face justice for what they had done. They want us to decide what happens to you, Lisa told Vexstar after reading some of the messages. Some of them want revenge. Vexstar's skin turned even paler. And what will you decide? Lisa thought about this carefully. Through her trust bond connection, she could sense the fear of every Zealoty in their empire. They had built their civilization on controlling others, and now they were facing a galaxy full of angry, newly freed species. I think, Lisa said slowly, that you need to learn the same lesson everyone else is learning. How to make real choices. What does that mean? Vexstar asked. It means you have two options, Lisa explained. You can try to fight against this change and probably get destroyed by all the species you enslaved. Or you can learn to live as equals with everyone else. Equals. One of the other Zealoty said with shock. We are the Zealoty. We've ruled this part of the galaxy for 1,000 years, and now you don't, Jake said simply. That time is over. Lisa could feel the trust bond in her mind, and through it, she sensed something interesting. The creature was showing her images of Zealoty. History from before they had discovered the trust bonds. They had once been explorers and scientists, much like humans. The trust bonds had changed them by making conquest too easy. You weren't always conquerors, she said to Vexstar. The trust bond is showing me your history. Your people used to explore and learn just like humans do. That was long ago, Vexstar said sadly. Before we understood how dangerous the galaxy could be. You thought controlling others would keep you safe, Lisa realized. But instead, it made you weak. You forgot how to face challenges without using the trust bonds to solve your problems. This seemed to hit Vexstar hard. He looked at the trust bond creature, which was still glowing with that strange silver light. Perhaps you are right. We have not truly tested ourselves in centuries. Over the next few days, the situation across the galaxy continued to change. Some of the freed species formed alliances with each other. Others chose to remain isolated. A few did start small conflicts, but most of them were working hard to build new governments based on freedom, rather than control. The Zealoty were having the hardest time adjusting. Without the trust bond network to help them communicate and control their empire, they were struggling to coordinate their civilization. Some Zealoty groups were trying to rebuild the old system, while others were beginning to question whether it had ever been right in the first place. We have a decision to make, Vexstar said during a meeting with the humans. My people are divided. Some want to fight to restore our empire. Others think we should try to build something new. What? Do you want? Lisa asked him directly. Vexstar was quiet for a long moment. I want to understand how your species learned to choose peace without giving up their strength. Perhaps the Zealoty could learn the same thing. It won't be easy, Lisa warned him. Learning to be free is hard work. You'll make mistakes. Have conflicts. Some of your people might choose badly, but they will be our choices, Vexstar said slowly, not the trust bond's choices. not decisions made for us by creatures we thought we controlled. Lisa smiled. That's the first step. 6 months later, Lisa stood in the same clearing where she had first met the Zealothi. But everything was different now. The trust bond creatures had been freed from their roles as control devices and were learning to live as independent beings. Some chose to work with various species as partners rather than tools. Vexstar approached her, but he looked changed. His skin was a natural blue-green color, and he moved with more confidence than she had seen before. "How are your people adjusting?" Lisa asked. Slowly he admitted. "We are having many arguments about how to build a new society. Some of my people are angry about losing our empire. Others are excited about the possibilities." "That sounds normal," Lisa said. "Humans argue about everything too." "But you still manage to work together when it matters," Vexstar observed. "Most of the time," Lisa agreed. "We've learned that disagreeing doesn't have to mean fighting. And fighting doesn't have to mean destroying each other." Vexstar nodded thoughtfully. "The trust bond you carry has been teaching me similar lessons. It shows me that strength can come from choosing to be vulnerable, not just from controlling others." Lisa looked at the trust bond on her wrist, which had decided to stay with her permanently. The creature glowed softly, content in a way it had never been during its years of forced service. "The galaxy is going to be a more complicated place now," she told Vexstar. "More conflicts, more disagreements, more chaos. But also more growth," Vexstar replied. "More discovery, and more real connections between species who choose to trust each other." "Exactly," Lisa said. "Welcome to freedom. It's messy, but it's worth it." As she watched Vexstar walk back to his people, Lisa felt proud of what humanity had accomplished. They hadn't conquered anyone or forced their values on others. Instead, they had simply shown the galaxy that there was another way to live, way based on choice rather than control. The trust bond on her wrists pulsed gently. And through their connection, Lisa could sense the hope spreading across 17 worlds as freed species learned to build their own futures. It would be messy and difficult, but it would be theirs, and that, she thought, was exactly how it should be.